What's happening, Wargamers? Welcome to the After Action Report for the Web Warriors versus Hellfire Club. And let's get right to the elephant in the room. That was Dyson.
There was some serious dice involved. Now, unfortunately, my game plan required dice, so that's a big part of it. Now, I did have a couple of procedural errors during the game where I could have chosen what I did on the first turn to do on the second turn, because the whole point was I wanted to empower Emma Frost, get her into the middle. You can't push her around. You can't do any of the normal Web Warrior tricks. So she's just going to be sitting there, transform into diamond form, and absolutely take you to town.
Sit there and tank?
Yeah. Well, she could also throw out a lot of damage. She's got a nice area to attack. She's got really, really solid moves when she's in the thick of things. Instead, she kind of had to wander away to try to go get some points, and
Spider Infected hit you hard, right?
It did.
It pushed Logan back here, and it pushed White Queen over there, and I did not get hit by it the same way.
Well,
right?
and I was supposed to have a lot more momentum on my second turn, and as it turns out, you actually got a momentum, so that was great.
Yeah. ASM popped off for me well in this one. I just wish it wasn't when your dice were as cold as they were.
Sure, yeah.
It always feels better when it's kind of going back and forth on that one.
Yeah.
So, out of curiosity, what was your game plan with Sinister? Who were you aiming for?
Mordo. I wanted Mordo to pop up, give someone like Laura or Wolverine an extra couple of smack arounds, and then they heal back right at the end of the turn. I feel like he would have been a really good support piece, but also like Baron Strucker felt like a good thing here because I could prevent your some of your more egregious moves by incinerating you back, and
fair enough. I think there was definitely a plan there. It's just like that momentum never really kind of materialized.
Yeah.
Right?
I think I had two really solid attacks, and
I mean, Honey Badger went into Gwen hard, right?
Well, yes.
So
yes.
I mean that's something, but I mean that's one of those like we're fishing for.
But that move actually probably helped me lose the game because it gave you priority from a character that wasn't going to really have a big impact on the game aside from that.
That is fair. I think I actually recall us discussing it after the fact that it was one of those, well, you didn't mean to do that, and all of a sudden now it kind of changes the whole dynamic of what we're doing, right?
Yeah, I was actually more interested in doing a little bit of damage, building up some power so that I could go do some other stuff, but no, it did not matter.
I'm actually really surprised that Toad did not go down to Logan when you went into him. That one really, really kind of surprised me there.
Well, I was like, I'm rolling 5 dice, re-rolling 2 of them. I got a pretty good chance of just popping right here.
Yeah, absolutely you did.
No.
Which was really bizarre.
And the attack that I threw into to Gwen also didn't do very much at all. I'm like, oh, okay, that's how this is going to be, is it?
Yeah, the attacks that you really needed to materialize, unfortunately, just never kind of came to the forefront for you.
Yeah.
Which is odd. I think this is the first time we've seen Logan really cold.
Yes.
Right?
So something else I wasn't thinking about when I was making the list, but definitely is noticing is that with Hellfire Club, Gabby is always taking damage. She is always going to be giving that up, so sometimes she may not be ideal, and I felt like in this list, especially against Web Warriors, I was not going to be in a great shape with Gabby hanging around for most of this.
It's interesting because going into this match, I was actually really worried about both the Origin Bombs and the Spider Infected. Like the combination was not quite what I was hoping for. There was going to be much more of a scrum in the middle, and looking at your team, I was really worried about that.
Yeah.
I gotta say, the dice were just in my favor tonight. Lizard tanked a couple more attacks than I expected him to tank.
Yep.
Spidey did what Spidey does. Like ASM showed up today.
I felt like all of your characters kind of tanked certain attacks more than I expected them to, and I was like, oh, okay, I will have to readjust my plans here and move on to the next character for this other set of attacks because I'm going to need to downgrade expectations, right? So
yeah.
I'm
happy with how Agent Venom performed this game.
Yeah.
I think in comparison to the last game that we ran with him, like he actually did some stuff.
Yes.
Which was really good.
I feel like he definitely took advantage of his web swing and being able to throw people and stuff. That was awesome.
Yep, yeah, because he threw Sinister once to daze him, then he threw I guess he threw Emma into Sinister
And finished him off.
and finished him off there. Yeah, so his all-star quarterback was just throwing the Hail Marys and doing the job. And I think that's really what it kind of comes down to in this particular game. Like, just everything that needed to happen for the Web Warriors basically was happening. And it allowed me to play very attrition-y, which is odd. I was not expecting that. I'm curious, did the slows impact you?
It did, but it impacted me so much more because of the specific objective. The fact that the spider infected sent me off into the thing, that was the objective you chose, so it definitely had a big impact on me. So those things together were crippling. Now, I felt like Wolverine wasn't out of the game, but it definitely was a stagger, as it were.
Yeah.
For Emma, it was almost worse because like she has good ranged attacks, but instead of it being putting her out of the fight, it put her out of the objectives, and that was where I was actually worried. And yeah, I wasn't supposed to be playing an objective game, but then at the end of the game, I had to try.
Yeah, like I was looking at your roster, your squad, and everything like that. It was you're very attrition-y. Like you had a lot of damage on the table, and just I don't know how I lucked out in this regard. Like ASM, I expected to be able to tank some stuff.
Sure.
Lizard, I expected him to be able to tank some stuff because one has rerolls with Spider Sense and all that sort of stuff. Lizard just has the damage reduction and everything. I was not expecting Toad to be living. I wasn't expecting Agent Venom to be kicking around still. Like I honestly thought I was going to be taking a couple more hits on the chin here.
Yeah.
And it just it's one of those nights where the dice just kind of worked for me.
Yeah.
In that regard.
And I actually was in a bad situation. So one of the problems for Emma is if you can't force someone to attack her, you're not moving into diamond form, you're not using the diamond form of the game, that's something to think about. And in my cards, I do have sacrifice so that they can take damage for each other and make sure that I put the attacks where I want them. But that was actually a big impact for her.
So I got one question for you.
Yes.
You never took advantage of Big Sis, Little Sis. Was that intentional?
Well, sort of, but no. I was more looking forward to using Wolverines with these two. Big Sis, Little Sis was going to be fine, except when you had pushed Laura all the way back here, Gabby was in the thick of things, and I'm like, well, hopefully Gabby will be able to ankle bite her. But I had two situations where I could do it. One is I wanted Gabby to go off and kill Toad when he was over here.
Yep.
But I realized that I was not going to have enough actions to do what I needed to do on the other side and still get Toad. So I'm like, we'll see what happens. But I didn't really want Gabby over in this thick of things either because I felt like she was just going to get thrown at someone.
Because at the time I had Agent Venom, Lizard, and ASM kicking around in the middle.
Yeah.
I was strangely brawly. And it worked out for me in this particular one, especially considering that I hit the momentum trigger 3 times with Spidey. And even though I wasn't always dealing damage to Emma with that, it was siphoning power off, which was kind of a big deal. So you're too deep into Hellfire Club at this point. How are you feeling about them?
I like Hellfire Club a lot, but I think it is a skill-heavy faction. You gotta plan your stuff far in advance, and you got to be a little bit more flexible when things go to pot. You got to kind of plan for the worst and be ready for the best.
I think that makes sense. I think you tried to pivot quite well. And again, I mean,
I think I attempted to pivot very well, but my resolution of said pivot may have been mixed results.
It's interesting. I feel like you always to do a lot of what you want to do. You always end up having to put one more action than you wanted to into things.
Yep.
And that, in the grand scheme, kind of hurt you.
Well, and I had planned on if I'm going to fight Web Warriors and you're bringing ASM, I'm going to get slowed. As long as I'm in the thick of things, it's fine. As it turns out, Spider Infected changed how to be in the thick of things.
Yeah, and then that early game control that I got off with Gwen, and then the tail whip with Lizard and all that sort of stuff.
And I had a couple of opportunities. Instead of sending White Queen over here, I could have sent her to the middle, captured the middle, or tried to roll again for the middle. I also failed both my attempts on that, and that kind of discouraged me because I was like, okay, if I can't fight you off of them and I can't flip it off of there, I better grab some Spider Infected. I probably should have stuck to my game plan and stayed a little more central.
It's hard though
Yeah.
when you run into a situation like that. And I mean, we've been gaming together long enough that we can kind of see the signs in each other when there's tilting going on.
Yeah, a little extra on the dice.
Yeah.
And while I wanted to pivot, I needed to kind of follow through with a little bit of my plans because Gabby was not going to pivot very well.
Yeah, no, I like honestly looking at it. The only thing that I probably would have done differently is maybe the order of activations that you did.
I have a little bit of regrets when it comes to that, so I can understand that.
Yeah, like I think there's a couple instances where I probably would have gone with Gabby as opposed to somebody else a couple times.
Sure.
But again, that's neither here nor there. With the way the dice were going, it's really hard to say how that would have worked out for you, right?
Fair. Yeah.
But yeah, I think we've said what we need to say on the game. Hopefully next time you roll on Hellfire Club, you're going to have some more success with it.
Absolutely.
I'm rooting for you. You seem really excited when you talk about this faction.
What's worse about the story is I thought today was Sinister's Day, but some plucky little kids from Brooklyn came and shut them down.
Some punk quarterback.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I think that is all we have to say about this game. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave your comments below. Remember, if you're looking to support the channel, hit up www.patreon.com/AegisBrand Studios. We will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Wargaming.